Well, this is different.
Yeah.
There's only two of us. Apparently, J-Bone just has had enough of everything that's going on here at the RAWDOWN that he is taking a week off to meet exclusively with President Sneed Tunney. And we didn't get the memo.
No, we didn't. No, he didn't.
No,
this is news to me.
Here we are. We work day in and day out. But he gets to meet with the head honcho. And here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the RAWDOWN. The whole spiel. I'm young Anthony. He's Marco. But it just doesn't feel right. We can't do the show with two people. We did the show with two people.
I mean, yeah, we could.
No. We could, but I don't think we can. I don't think we can.
I need someone to step up.
And there he is.
Whoa.
Steve, ACEFIELD Retro. Welcome to the RAWDOWN.
What's up? ACEFIELD Retro's here, and my message is for Kevin Dunn and Kevin Dunn only. Less is more. Stop with the camera cuts. You're ruining the show. What's going on, guys?
That's the way to start off the RAWDOWN. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. It's a three-man booth, the only way that we could do it here. I am your host, Young Anthony, joined as always by my co-host, the MVP Marco, and our special guest this week, ACEFIELD Retro. Gentlemen, hope you are all doing well. How's the week going? We got a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah, we do. I'm doing great.
Doing well. I appreciate you guys having me. I'm in relief, but I'm here to carry and fill the big shoes of Boney Khan, J-Bone, coming down the aisle, and here we go.
Absolutely, as he is actually in the chat, so I guess he has made some time to watch the show. And he's here for my ridiculous statement this week. I've got a few hot topics I was talking about with him that we'll get to. There's a lot to get to on today's episode. Got some releases to talk about. We got some news going into WrestleMania. The road to WrestleMania is on the way, but there is another road that the RAWDOWN is currently on, and that is the road to RAWDOWN WrestleMania. 28 days remain until the biggest prediction show that we will have here on the show. 2 nights of WrestleMania have to be predicted, and as President Sneed Tunney have said, there must be a winner to crown the vacant RAWDOWN predictions champion. Again, I am the tag team champions. But we won't get into that.
Yeah, no, because I'm the tag team champions.
I'm the tag team champion. All right,
It's even more beautiful when I can see it above my head. It's even more shiny when you're in the show.
Being in the presence of it just makes it so much better. That's true. We don't have a sign to point to, as J-Bone says, but we do have a lot to get to, and we got to start off things with a story that broke right after we went off the air on RAWDOWN, and that is.
You're fired.
You're fired. I'm sorry. You're fired. Get out of here.
You're fired. I said, you're fired. How the hell you gonna get fired on your day off? You're fired.
All right. So technically he wasn't fired, but
no.
I wanted to use that intro nonetheless. Cesaro has let his contract run out for the WWE. He is no longer under the WWE umbrella. Cesaro is a free agent, which means that there's no 90-day clause. You know, he wasn't released. So he is fair game to show up anywhere at any time. ACEFIELD, we're going to start with you. What were your initial thoughts of seeing Cesaro leaving the company? What did you make of it? And where do you see Cesaro going from here?
My initial thoughts is a missed opportunity. If you go back to 2014, fresh off of winning the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, he seemed like he was destined to be the next world champion. He took Cena to the limit, I believe, right the Raw after WrestleMania of that year. He was pretty hot in between different spots. You can go back to when he was tagging with Swagger. and doing We the People thing. Anything that Cesaro touched, even with the Sheamus, the bar stuff, anything he touched was gold. And it just seems like they didn't see the main event level world champion caliber talent that we see as a wrestler. And I know for me, everyone's saying he should go to AEW. And I'm a huge AEW fan. If you watch my show, I think that AEW is a great product. I don't think Cesaro belongs there. I think what Cesaro should do is he should go off, do the indie scene, maybe go to Japan, go to Mexico, and try to regain some momentum. Because if you go to AEW right now, it's too crowded. Maybe go to the returning Ring of Honor back in April, but definitely sow your own craft somewhere else, because right now AEW is way too crowded and Cesaro will just be lost in the shuffle.
Marco, do you feel like there's a spot for him in AEW? I actually have the prediction of, if we even see him in AEW, there's the spot of, we're getting the Casino Battle Royale tomorrow. Maybe there's a chance for a quick turnaround for the Kings of Wrestling to turn up. Chris Hero and Cesaro, whatever he goes by. I'm sure it's Claudio.
Possibility.
But, Marco, do you think that there's a spot for him in AEW?
I think, definitely. I think there's always a spot for him. I don't think like a long-term deal would be in place. Kind of maybe something like Matt Cardona did when he stepped foot in there. He did it was like a couple weeks or something like that, then bounced. Maybe around like a pay-per-view time. I mean, obviously Revolution's coming up already, so maybe somewhere down the line. I don't think you should jump into AEW right away. I definitely would I'd love to see him in New Japan. I think he'd be awesome over there. Definitely. Not so much Impact. Only because definitely great wrestler, great everything. And if you've listened to the Chick Foley show in the past, we've always used him as that symbol for great in-ring performer, great all around, but the charisma, the showmanship, he doesn't really ooze that as much. So I think that's, if you're in WWE, that's what you need. You need to have that outgoing, crazy personality that catches somebody's eye. But I mean, you can wrestle, front to back, bell to bell, all you want. But if you don't have that, that it factor, as I like to say, I hate using that word, but if you don't have that, you're not gonna last essentially in the WWE world. I think in AEW he'll definitely fare a lot better outside.
Yeah. I actually went back and watched that interview that Vince McMahon did with Stone Cold back in 2014, and Cesaro was a hot topic, and people were very behind him. And I think Stone Cold asked specifically about Cesaro, why is he not clicking with the fans? And Vince had said something about the fact that he has an accent, the fact that he doesn't have the charisma, and he's missing, like Marco said, the it factor. Yep. And the writing was on the wall from then. I think once Vince has this preconceived notion of who you are as a character, that's it. Like Marco said, the guy is a great wrestler, and I personally think he could get over with the fans. I don't think there needs to be that electrifying Rock type character. He could be a Bret Hart type of technician in the ring, but he wasn't given the opportunity. I think right now, greener pastures are ahead for him. And like you said, I think Japan would be the perfect place for him to go there and just have these strong style matches and just go up there and uppercut people to death. So that's not after that. I have the New Japan World app, so I'll be watching that wherever he goes. I'll continue to follow his career. So.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there. I mean, people all the time said that Cesaro was such a missed opportunity in WWE, and to an extent, I can definitely see that. But I feel like it's better to say that Cesaro is a main eventer in a company. But when you're talking about the WWE, there's a very set standard of what a main eventer looks like, acts like, how Vince perceives them. And if Vince doesn't view you as that type of wrestler, you're not going to get over. As much of the fans can root for you, of course, with some exceptions. As much as you can get over with the fans, there is a clear, I hate to say, glass ceiling that you can't really break through. And for Cesaro, I never really saw him breaking out of that, unfortunately. And that's really what it comes down to now. Like I said, he is a main eventer wherever he goes, except for the WWE. And as ironic as it is to say. So I think that's going to be the case once you see him break out of the WWE, go to New Japan, go to AEW, go to ROH, as you mentioned. The possibilities are endless for him. I think that the fans have a lot of support for him already and will have more support for him as we go along and find out where Cesaro will end up, taking place wherever he may be. I think he's going to be fine. How much of a loss do you think this is for the WWE's roster, though? I always considered him to be, just a reliable hand, can always give you a good match. When he went up against Roman, that's all I viewed him as, was just another solid opponent for Roman to build him up. I didn't really ever view him as that main event talent, but, like I said, just a reliable hand. How much do you think this affects the WWE's roster? Is it that much of a hurt to them? Marco, what do you think?
I don't think it's a huge loss, but it definitely is a loss. Like you said, he's definitely one of the better workers there. And like you said, he could definitely be the filler opponent for Roman Reigns if they needed to throw him in that. He definitely proved that he was in that position before. He did have a great program recently with Seth Rollins as well, and obviously they have history outside the WWE before actually they went in. He definitely can. He's definitely proven his worth there while he was there. And I hate to repeat it over again. It was just that like you said, it factor that the charisma that he needed to just push through a little bit. And as you guys were actually talking about that, I was thinking of one person, Seth Rollins in particular. I think at the beginning when he was in the Shield, he really didn't have a personality at all. It was mainly the eye-catching guys in that group. Obviously he had the blonde streak going, but it was Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. They were kind of the overshadowing, and Seth Rollins during that time had to develop a character. Being that smarmy, sneaky heel when he broke up with the Shield, and then obviously evolving into basically the Monday Night Messiah, and then the drip god as he is now, and then now he's kind of now he just doesn't he has this open forum to do anything he wants now, and I think that's something that was a missed opportunity with Cesaro, just to showcase he wasn't given that chance to showcase his personality in that sense. So
yeah, I think honestly it's a pretty big loss right now. If you asked me about this 12 months ago, I do not think it would be a huge loss. But if you look at the standings or whatever, the hierarchy of SmackDown talent, they have Ricochet listed as the second best talent outside of Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns, who is the world champion or universal champion. So I think Cesaro, if it's kind of a missed opportunity for him, and I know it's what could have been if he was just on SmackDown, he would just be the guy by default. But what is it truly? If you're not Roman or Brock right now in WWE, where are you truly on the card? Is it going to be something that is sustainable? Ricochet is the third, but by default, he's not. He's going to be getting a little bit of a push, but he'll be back to being 24/7, chasing those titles and just jobbing out to people. So it's not really saying a lot, but I think right now they would miss him because the depth is no longer there in 2020. Evaporated the roster for good or for worse. Their roster is hurting right now, and I think it's going to bear consequences in the future. Right now, everything's set for long-term plans for WrestleMania, but after the fact, what's going to happen in these programs following? And I think Cesaro is a depth guy. I'm seeing in the chat that John had said that he had a good program at Roman last year, and that's true. He is a guy who can step up. No one truly believed that he would win the title from Roman. I mean, at least any knowledgeable fan watching the show on a daily or a weekly basis, he wasn't winning the title, but he was a guy who could step up and have a really good match with a main event caliber guy. And I think that you will miss that on the show from a week-to-week basis.
Absolutely. You guys hit it right on the head with all of that. I think Cesaro, like you said, he's got that, reliable factor to him. He's a great wrestler. He's going to have a great program with whoever you put him up against, but I think he'll really shine once you put him in another situation. So I'm excited to see where he goes from there.
There's got to be there's got to be something to be said. Mick Foley and Stone Cold both speak so highly about the talent of Cesaro, and they don't know him personally aside from being a professional worker. Mick Foley has gone to the mat talking about how it's a missed opportunity. He was the next big thing, but the next big main eventer, and they lost it. So there's got to be something. If Foley and Stone Cold both see it, they're both, two of the best in the business. They recognize talent when they see it.
Yeah, and he's going to be able to pick where he goes from here. And I think, he's going to know where he'll fit in best, and that's up for him to decide. Maybe it will be, we'll see him tomorrow with the Kings of Wrestling showing up. Who knows? But, I think the possibilities are endless, and I'm looking forward to seeing wherever he goes. But I do want to move on from Cesaro. We have a lot else to talk about, including, WrestleMania is on the horizon. We have a lot of great matches to discuss in the coming weeks. But one of them that we'll be talking about right now, and a match that I'm sure we will be talking about if it happens for the history of wrestling, is Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee. Holy shit. Who would have thought that we would be hearing Vince McMahon, how old is he now?
78 years old.
78-year-old Vince McMahon going up against Pat McAfee at WrestleMania. But honestly, with the way that the world is turning in 2022, are you really surprised? Vince McMahon is apparently going to be starting his feud with Pat McAfee when he makes his appearance on his show on Thursday. It's I don't know if there's much that you could say about this one, but honestly, be it that I'm going to be watching this live in Dallas, I could say for certain that I am most definitely excited for this. I know a lot of people right off the bat are going to say this is ridiculous. Why is this happening? But this is where what J-Bone was alluding to earlier on in the show comes in, as I want to just get through some comments real quick. J-Bone just calls it ridiculous, but we'll get to my opinion in a second. Just backtracking a little bit, he also did say in 2014 they killed Cesaro's momentum. He was a Paul Heyman guy, and all Heyman would talk about is Brock Lesnar beating the streak and not Cesaro. Absolutely. I think that was such a missed opportunity. Putting him with Heyman in itself was not a good call, and doing it right after the streak was definitely the wrong time to do it. So this is where I have to throw in
Hot takes here. Get your hot takes here.
I'm nervous to say this one, but Pat McAfee is going to go down in recent history as one of the best signings for the WWE for many reasons. His podcast alone is doing so much to bring more mainstream attention to the WWE, mainstream attention that they are not getting. You look at it from everything he did with Adam Cole, bringing that sense of realism that you don't really see nowadays. His interview with Brock Lesnar is making the rounds around just all media. People are talking about it. Everything that Brock did was fantastic. And now you're going to tell me that he's going to bring in Vince McMahon? That is going to break the internet. If anything that Brock did, Vince is going to definitely top that. He talks to a certain fan base that is kind of similar to a wrestling fan base, but, more on the end of sports, and will draw them in. Putting him on a stage like WrestleMania with the head honcho of the WWE is the perfect call. He has been able to revitalize SmackDown. You could say what you will about who's truly the MVP of SmackDown right now. For me, if it's not Roman, it's Pat McAfee. He's not only been able to add a new voice, a voice that has much been needed in the WWE after such a robotic sense of the same commentary for years. Not only has he been able to do that, but he's been able to take the best out of Michael Cole, someone who's been, very monotone and, by the book for years. He's been able to get the best out of him. For anyone to say that McAfee hasn't been a great signing would be absolutely ridiculous. He's been phenomenal. He's played his role well. He can do in the ring. He can do on commentary. He can do it all. I think he is going to go down in recent history, not all time. We're going to have to wait on that. But in recent history, as one of the better signings that the WWE have brought in this whole weird pandemic era that we're seeing ourselves in, or at least in the last decade, at least. What do you guys think?
I mean, I'm sitting in the seat and I'm supposed to just rip on you, but I agree with you. Pat McAfee, in a word, is impressive. Anything he does it well. And when he was feuding with the Adam Cole stuff in NXT, I remember watching. I'm like, what are they doing? Because I was watching NXT from afar, and then they had the match, and he crushed it. He was doing moonsaults and doing superplexes. The guy took it seriously. And then go with the fact that the announcing piece, you nailed it with that. mean, the robotic nature of the broadcast, I took notes on Raw because I thought when we talk about the show itself, the production value is horrible. And a lot of it is to do with the announcing. It's just so formulaic and it's mundane. He brings an energy to the product that hasn't been seen since Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. He is someone who is electric, and I think he doesn't take no for an answer. I remember reading in one of the dirt sheets, I forget it was Wrestling Observer on Squared Circle or wherever, they had a list of words that can't be said, and it was like legitimately all words that are initiated by Pat McAfee because he says things that just come to the top of his brain. He's dancing to Shinsuke Nakamura. He brings an energy to the product that's been missing, and he is great despite them trying to probably overproduce him. And as far as the pop culture nature of bringing eyes to the product, that can't be discounted. The guy has a huge following. I think the interview he did 2 weeks ago, not with Brock, but with someone else, has like 67 million views. Like, the guy is on fire, and I mean, anything he touches is gold. I wouldn't go as far as saying he's the best signing. If you want to say he's the best, like, outside of the ring announcing signing, I'd sign up for that. But as far as in-ring signing, not, but I don't think it's a hot take at all. I think he has a reach that's far wider than just wrestling fans, and I think that can't be discounted. But do I want to see Vince McMahon, the 78-year-old, in the ring with anybody? No, I don't. That bothers me. I don't want to see him get out there and get hurt because to me, that is a problem. So I don't want him to go out there and get hurt.
Well, you also have to think, like, if we're going to see Vince McMahon in a match, which for me, I would love to see actually Vince McMahon in a match just for the sheer fuckery of it. But if we are to see him in a match, and they're already reporting on, there's going to be a lot of smoke and mirrors. So I'm sure you're going to see. My prediction is that this week on the McAfee show, you probably are going to see an Austin Theory run in, and he'll beat him up at the end of his show or whatever. And that'll be, kind of the angle for the match. Like, sure, it'll be McMahon versus McAfee, but it'll really be Austin Theory stepping in and doing most 100%. Of the work.
I think that's exactly what we're going to see. We'll see McAfee do all the heavy lifting with Austin Theory. Vince will go in there and do his spots. Maybe don't discount Vince. We saw him do that spot. I think it was in the WrestleMania 37 documentary where he did the Kevin Owens spot. We're like, oh yeah, just jump off the side. And like, as a 77-year-old man, just jumps off the side and lands on this crash pad. No problem. And just bounces right back up. The guy's insane. So, I can see him taking some bumps, which is so scary.
Yeah, no, I don't even want to imagine. I'm sure he could, but I don't even want to imagine. Marco, I want to get your take on this, but I do want to get to these comments because the comment section is lighting up here. J-Bone, of course, is just calling me ridiculous. Oh, okay, guys, we're actually joined by President Sneed himself, so I got to just
posture, guys,
tidy up a little bit. Hi, President Sneed. Hope you're doing well. You look great today. I'm sure. I can't see you, but hope you're doing well.
We're in a nice suit right now.
J-Bone's at the door, apparently. I don't know. J-Bone does not like my take here. I think I made a pretty compelling case, if you will. J-Bone also says that he's good at what he does, but the best signing, no, not at all. Turnbuckle Tavern is in the building, and they say that the best signing in the last decade has been AJ Styles. Okay. I mean, as far as in-ring, I can see it.
Yeah, I can. So just my thoughts on it. I think I'm going to agree with both of you as well, but I'm going to go with he's the best business decision the WWE has made in the past.
Spot on.
Because when you say signing, that indicates he's a in-ring talent, and that's what they're going by. So I'm gonna agree with Turnbuckle Tavern and say AJ Styles is probably their best signing that they've had in the last. Because it's AJ Styles. I mean, no one was expecting him to show up. Didn't touch the grounds of NXT when he did show up, and like right from Royal Rumble onward, multiple time champion, WWE champion, tag champion, like he did it all.
He's the hope for any outsider to come in that they'll book him correctly. He is the guy that you can look at and say they'll treat you right even if you're not a WWE lifer. So I mean, you can look at the other side of it that they treat other guys poorly, but AJ Styles is the silver lining of like it could go well for you if you show up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
they,
really the
Balor
one
on the
that
other side,
started it all. Like, I remember
Yeah.
seeing that WWE.com article of will AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Gallows and Anderson sign with the WWE, and I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is
that
this?
was that was like the mass exodus from New Japan. It was it was
Yeah.
AJ Styles, it was Shinsuke, it was the Good Brothers, Finn Balor just before that too. So
Yeah.
legit, like pretty much most of the Bullet Club left at almost at once, which is
Yeah, it
pretty
was-
insane. You had the
it was
leader of
very
it, which was
insane.
Finn Balor, and then you had the other the second leader, AJ Styles, and the Good Brothers, like two main components of it. They ended up leaving, and then their biggest star outside the Bullet Club, which is Shinsuke, he ended up leaving too. So that was a huge blow to New Japan at the time. I mean, but it was great pickups for the WWE. Well, some of them anyway, not one of them pretty much.
Yeah,
Was
I mean,
pretty
AJ was really
Styles
the
anyway.
first guy.
And I love
that,
Shinsuke, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, AJ was really the first guy, and to the point of him being one of the best signing. He was that first guy that, like, you're taking someone from the indies and just putting him on the main stage, not changing his name, not giving him a new gimmick, not taking his mask off, not even putting him in NXT first to rebrand him.
Yep.
They just took what they had for AJ Styles and threw him in the fire, and he worked completely fine. Of course, there were some guys that, that trend would continue, like, Shinsuke didn't pan as well as people would have hoped to. Even the Good Brothers, obviously, they didn't pan out as well as people would have hoped to as well. But like you said, Ace, he is that type of guy that it gives hope for a lot of wrestlers to come in and still keep up what they've been working on for the last few years and really apply it to the WWE and succeed. So I think that's a very good point as well to bring up as far as the best signing.
I think it's going to be cyclical. I think right now they're moving away from signing the indie talent, and they don't want the smaller guys and the good technical wrestlers, and they're moving towards the guys outside of. He's a big football player. He's an athlete outside of the ring. We'll teach him how to wrestle. It's always cyclical, and they're going to wind up back there. Right now, we might have to endure 2 to 3 years of the NXT 2.0 class not panning out, but they're eventually going to go to the 42-year-old guys that are on the indies that have wrestled all over the world, because that delivers in the ring. So whether they have charisma on a WWE stage, that is yet to be determined. We don't know until they show up and they can, be on TV in a WWE style. AJ Styles killed it. He impressed Vince from day one, and he was able to wrestle the same style in Japan and in Impact, but also bring this different edge to a WWE type of character where he had this bulldog mentality that Vince he was drawn to. So I think guys have to adapt when they get to the WWE roster and understand it's not going to be the same. I think some of the issues we see from the indie wrestlers, if you don't adapt, similar to Cesaro, if you don't adapt and just don't let your in-ring character speak by itself in the ring, you have to have a good promo. You have to have a good character. Look at Seth Rollins. He's trying his best to evolve the character, and whether you like the anime villain he's doing now, at least he's developing the character. He could have just rested on his laurels and been Tyler Black his whole career, and I don't think it would have panned out well for him in WWE.
Yeah, the only other thing I would add to that with AJ Styles too is he was able to he had to overcome that the southern accent thing that Vince McMahon usually doesn't like as well. But the other thing too they had to draw off of him was when he was in Impact, he wrestled a lot of the guys that were in WWE, so they had a lot of things to see. Like he wrestled Kurt Angle, he wrestled Jeff Hardy, and he was there with Hogan and Nash and Booker T. So all those guys that he's with, then they can vouch for him. They're all so close to WWE, so they could put in a good word for him and say, hey, this guy's legit. Go back and watch what he does. And then obviously that was Impact was way before the New Japan stuff, but then they had the New Japan stuff that they could build off as well. So I think him just coming in right from if you look at his track record and all his matches and stuff, he didn't have to go to NXT. It was kind of stupid dropping him in NXT before he went to the main roster. He's a name. He was that one name outside of WWE that was the biggest star that wasn't in WWE at the time.
Yeah, he was everywhere else except for the WWE.
Yeah. And then one more thing. So they did kind of, add Austin Theory to that interview. I'm not if you guys seen Raw. Vince McMahon and they're talking about it. So Vince McMahon and Austin Theory are in his office, and he's like, I know you're going to be on Pat McAfee's show, but if you try something, what are you going to do? And he's like, maybe I could be there with you. So Austin Theory might be in attendance at the interview when that happens.
It'd be interesting
so
how McAfee staff treats him, because like Theory is sort of a nerd and character on WWE TV. Maybe McAfee sort of big times him. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like. It has me intrigued for sure.
Yeah,
but going back to the Vince thing for a sec.
Yeah,
it wouldn't shock me if he worked the whole match. I think what everyone's saying about Austin Theory wrestling big pieces of the match, maybe he's at ringside, similar to like the Shawn Michaels Vince match where like the Spirit Squad got involved. I mean, at that point, this is 16 years ago at this point, that Spirit Squad match. So yeah, it scares me to think that dude going out there in the ring, but Vince is a freak. The other thing is too, we're not wasting a spot on the card that's not, there's 2 nights, so you're not saying you're taking anyone's spot. And we don't have anyone wasting their program with them. It's Pat McAfee. So like, why not? Let's just get it out there in the ring and let's see what they can do, because it at least has my attention. And that's a lot to be said. Austin Theory and McAfee has no marquee value.
Yep.
Let's just say that. Vince has to come to the ring, black tank top, all oiled up. Whether he does anything, he needs to do that swagger out to the ring and come out one last time. That has to happen.
I hope we get do-rag Vince from
I know. Oh my god.
That's
the one thing I don't want to see, unfortunately.
Well, Cardona did the do-rag Vince for the ECW champion already in GCW. So
what's good in the hood?
Thank you for the new drop, Chad. Look, I do want to say on the topic of Vince and Austin Theory and everything, although, like you said, Austin Theory versus Pat McAfee alone has no value to it. What a way to make a guy. I mean, I remember around Survivor Series when this whole story with McMahon and Austin Theory started, and I was like, what is the point of all of this? Why are we putting Austin Theory with Vince McMahon, someone who hasn't been on TV by that point up until the following year's Survivor Series when they did that little thank you taker? We hadn't seen him that entire time, and now he's back in a story with someone who just came up from NXT. If this is a way to make someone like an Austin Theory and put him on a main stage like Wrestlemania and put him on a podcast like the Pat McAfee show, I mean, they're really going all in on him, and I can't you talk about how the WWE has been, failing to make stars and whatever, and we always talk about this, but like, this is the ideal way to make a star, is to put him in this type of spotlight, throw him in the fire. And obviously, I remember he's been doing a lot of like the dark matches and the house shows, and he's obviously been impressing. He got a WWE championship match on one of his first marquee matches the night after Survivor Series. He's gotten all these opportunities, and I love what they're doing with him, and I want him to keep progressing. And with Vince McMahon, I mean, you really can't go wrong. So a lot of great stuff to be said about this.
He has the look, man, that they like, and he reminds me of a young Cena, where Cena was, 2002, before he was the rapping Cena. He was doing the wearing the hometown colors and coming out and just like wearing tights. He reminds me of him. He's getting his in-ring work in shape. He's going out there and getting reps in. Go back during 2020. I believe he was with Seth Rollins as well for a bit. So he's been on TV.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's now he's finally getting his chance to time. When he was with Seth Rollins, clearly the roster was so thin because of COVID. They didn't have a roster big enough on Raw week to week. So like, let's get this guy up from Evolve and just like see what he can do.
Yeah.
And he was not ready at the time. It looks like he's there on the roster and he's a bright spot on the show, which, who would have thought 2 years ago that Austin Theory is on Raw with all these guys and he's one of the bright spots on the show. And I look forward to seeing him week to week. So future's bright. And keep building him. I mean, like you said, we need young stars. So Austin Theory, if you want to build a new young star, give him the rub. Don't give it to the other guys like Lesnar and Reigns. They don't need it. Give it to someone like Austin Theory.
Yeah, I was gonna say he just to build off of what you said, he does remind me of like a mix of Cena and Orton.
Yeah,
almost.
For sure.
Like kind of like that, like a molding of both of them together. And I think that's what Vince McMahon sees.
Yeah.
In him definitely. Yeah. And I think he really built his character when he was doing the way stuff on NXT with Gargano and Candice and stuff. So like he got to show like his funny side and be that like goofy, like stupid guy, and he played it really well. So I think that probably caught Vince's eyes as well, that he can't do that. I mean, he is multifaceted in the sense where he can do comedy if he needs to. So
Vince loves that stuff.
Yeah.
He loves when people can be multifaceted, like you said, and be a multi-dimensional character and go out there and just do whatever. And Austin
Yeah.
Theory seems like he's down for whatever, obviously.
Yeah.
So, and he's shining. So, good
And
for
he's
him.
young too. Imagine comparing a guy so young to a mix of Cena and Randy Orton.
Yeah.
That alone,
Yep.
pair him with Vince, he's got a bright future ahead of him. We want to get to a lot of these comments. Chad just says that he's going to blow his quads out again. I can't blame you for saying that one. J-Bone says that I think Austin Theory will take Vince's spot, like we've been saying. Nick Arias is in the chat. Thank you for popping in. Shout out to the
What's up,
Ring
Nick?
Fanatics. I think last minute they'll put Theory in the match against McAfee. Theory was supposed to go up against Shane before they let him go. Maybe a way to get him a new Mania match. Yeah, I definitely see that. I think you might see a lot of the elements of what you would have seen with Austin Theory versus Shane in this match. Who knows? Maybe we were supposed to get Vince versus Shane, and Austin Theory was supposed to get involved with that. Who knows? But I'm very excited to see this story play out. J-Bone says, I think Austin has asks him to step and prove himself to Vince. That's a good angle of the story if they want to go forward with that, because that's kind of been the trend, is him trying to prove himself to Vince. So I would love to, see that continue. Nick Arias, always remember, you got to expect the unexpected, especially when it comes to Vince. Austin Theory is Mage.
He's Mage.
He's Mage.
Damn, I'm not with the abbreviations, it seems. And Chad says, couldn't agree more. I see Austin Theory on that John Cena trajectory, at least in Vince's eyes. Who knows if he hits those heights, but I think that's the plan.
Yeah.
You're starting to see a lot of those younger guys that they see a lot in them. Your Austin Theories, Braun Breakers. As much as I hate him, even someone like Madcap Moss is getting a lot of screen time because he has that look, and he's like we've been saying with Austin Theory, down to do whatever. He's very multifaceted. He has a great look. He was even during the pandemic era when they were in the Performance Center. I remember on Main Event, whoever watches Main Event nowadays, he was racking up a lot of wins against guys like Ricochet and like Cedric Alexander, who were really getting pushed in that Paul Heyman era of Raw. So for him to be getting this much exposure at that time, especially, sure, the 24/7 stuff, that was all great, whatever.
Yeah.
And now being pushed in this program with Happy Corbin and Drew McIntyre, it says a lot about what they view him as. And, you're just starting to see all these guys take their place in the roster. And it's interesting that they're so young that they're going to keep growing. So a lot of good things that are coming with building stars, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that they continue to go on the tracking, let these guys develop into the big stars they are, instead of using them to feed a nostalgia act down the line.
Yeah,
because I would hate for Austin Theory to build momentum, all to be, that to be sullied down the line, losing to someone on a return, say a Goldberg if he signs a new contract, something like that.
No.
That's what we see with this young talent. Like go all the way back. I'm still scarred by FTR getting beat up at the Raw Reunion 25 by DX and NWO. Like, why would they do that? That is just beyond me. You can have a moment and not beat up your young, great tag team. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question that I actually wanted to present because you mentioned that. Let's say Austin Theory was in the spot where Kevin Owens is right now, going up against Stone Cold. Do you think that would help him being up against a part-timer like Stone Cold Steve Austin, or do you think it's another case of, well, he's going up against a part-timer, you're just feeding him to, someone who hasn't been around for years?
Go ahead, Mark. I'll let you start with this one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Mainly because if it's against Stone Cold now, I don't think it's as bad. I don't think it's feeding him to like a part timer, because if it's Stone Cold's coming back as a one off, he's not going to be continuing his wrestling career afterwards. So it's definitely going to be something different in that sense. Where if it is a Goldberg who does sign multi-year contracts and stuff like that, it is going to diminish anything that they're trying to get going for Austin Theory. But Stone Cold, no, I think it would only help, if anything, if they're putting Austin Theory in front of Stone Cold Steve Austin, because that shows that they, first of all, trust him to be in that spot. Second, it's just going to push him to the moon when he's going to get the win. There's no way you would have Stone Cold I don't think you get the 1, 2, 3. It'd be like a disqualification or something. But you just put him in that position to get that almost like win over Stone Cold. That'll definitely, set him in the right direction, I think. I mean, it's already.
You can damn well bet that Stone Cold Steve Austin's going to be there.
Oh,
What?
hell yeah.
What?
I think it honestly depends on the length and style of the match. If it's just like a goofy, he's going to stun him and make him look goofy. There is a way to make a star in a losing effort. Stone Cold is the great example of that. WrestleMania 13 was his shining moment. People forget it was in a losing effort. So you can make new stars and develop megastars in losing efforts. It's just about how you do it.
Yeah.
And the way it goes against everything they're doing now with 50-50 booking, and all the wins and losses have to mean something. So it's a deeper issue than just like going in there and doing it. But Austin Theory in that match, it would mean a lot more than Kevin Owens, because where do you go from the Kevin Owens match? Like, to me, and I don't know how far you guys want to get into the Stone Cold stuff, but for me, Stone Cold returns, and it's not because John Cena's in his prime or Goldberg returns in 2004. No.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens is disparaging his home state of Texas. To me, it doesn't have enough substance. Like, this is what draws Stone Cold out of retirement, not some long feud that's like, we have to see the dream match between Stone Cold and Goldberg. We have to see Stone Cold versus Cena. No, it's Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
It's sort of where he's going to be on the card. Former Universal Champion. Like, he's not trying to, he's going, what we have from Owens is where it is. And I love Kevin Owens, but he's not the future of the company. So I don't know what is the meaning of this, aside from just a thing where the glass breaks and you get a stunner and people get a pop. I'll pop for it, but I'm not sure exactly if that's going to be meaningful enough to draw him out of retirement. I kind of like the storybook. Nice, neat. He lost to The Rock at WrestleMania 19, and then that's it. I kind of like where it stays. That's just me.
Yeah. I agree. I don't, like I said, I think I said last week, 20% chance he actually wrestles a match at WrestleMania. I think it's going to be more of like a,
yeah. Should we get into our Stone Cold meter for the week?
Yeah, might as well. Yeah, since we're talking about
might as well. I keep forgetting to make a little graphic for this, but our Stone Cold meter of the week for our new viewers: will we see Stone Cold Steve Austin in a match at WrestleMania? Marco, let's start with you.
Yeah,
I know. What's your percentage?
Yeah, shout out to Turnbuckle Tavern, because they actually used that on the debate this past week. They used the but they shouted us out. They gave credit where credit's due, so that's good. I'm actually going to drop it. I'm going to drop it like another 5%.
Really?
15%. I don't think he's wrestling a match. And Steve said it the best. It's like, if you're going to draw Stone Cold out of retirement, it has to be against a marquee guy. Like, it has to be like a John Cena to actually have a match. The best of both eras, essentially. Or the Ruthless Aggression era versus the Attitude era, like the pinnacle, like the top guys of those eras. That's what you draw Stone Cold out. Not Kevin Owens just disparaging Texas, like he said. That doesn't do it for me. Doesn't work for me, pal. Doesn't work for me, brother. But like the Hogan thing. But I think he just comes out, drops a stunner, drinks some beers, and then heads on out. I think they have like a little promo off in the middle of the ring. They'll do that. That'll be like the lengthy part of it. But other than that, I don't think he's hitting the ropes, and I don't think you're gonna see a Luthez press. I don't think you're gonna see. Maybe you might see him stomp a butthole or two, but I don't think he's getting too physical past like 5 minutes.
We saw him as special ref at WrestleMania 20. He was at WrestleMania 21 in Piper's Pit.
Yeah,
he was involved in WrestleMania 30 in that opening segment. So he's been involved in physical confrontations.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you 150% chance he's going to be involved in Texas as a guest in some capacity. And I'm almost 99.9% sure we're going to see a stunner in some way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As far as wearing the goddamn tights and wearing the vest with BMF on it with 316, I give it like a 17% chance, because when there's smoke, there's fire. I think that these rumors didn't start from anything. And I think Stone Cold would have been at least saying absolutely no way, it's not happening. And they wouldn't hint at it on TV if there wasn't a chance. Maybe they're still trying to finalize the details.
Yeah.
But to me, if you want Stone Cold to sell the tickets, I feel like you have to have him show up on Raw like 2 weeks ago to really get it going. These tickets have been on sale. Right now, I think they said night one's 57,000 and night two is 47. They had 101 in the building for last time they're in Texas. So they have a long way to go to sell it out. So you think they would have Stone Cold on TV and just build the buzz instead of having it be a week before?
Yeah.
People travel to WrestleMania. They have to make plans, get their their airline tickets, and they have to get a hotel. It's not just like, oh, let me buy tickets. Like, those are the local fans, and I'm sure they bought tickets already. But if you're trying to convince me, who lives on the East Coast, to come to WrestleMania, and I'm going to go because it's Stone Cold, you have to do a lot more than just like hinting at it with Texas and cowboy hats. I need to know he's going to be in his goddamn black boots, and I want him in the ring wrestling a match, and that might make me go. But it's not confirmed yet. So, I'm not saying I want it or I don't, but I'm saying it should be announced if it was going to be happening. It's a misstep if they're doing it and haven't announced it yet.
Yeah,
I think they're kind of just banking off of the rumors at this point. It's kind of like everything that happened with CM Punk, when they announced that they were going to be doing that show in Chicago, and everyone just knew at that point that, CM Punk was going to be coming. With that, they should be doing a lot more to be hinting at it besides just, saying Texas, this. I think something also interesting that they've been doing now is, I don't know if you guys have been catching this on Twitter, that they have all different Hall of Famers from Texas calling out Kevin Owens for bashing the good name of Texas. I think JBL and Booker T have now put up something on Twitter. I think, we've been saying 100% Austin's going to be at WrestleMania. You can't, book a WrestleMania in Dallas. And I always bring it back to that first video package that they did promoting WrestleMania. The first person that you see walk out in that video was Stone Cold Steve Austin. There's no way that you can have the show without him. However, and I want to bring this up because I don't know if we've talked about it here. They've been doing a lot of different video packages or I could just call them commercials promoting WrestleMania. And, all of the commercials are all promoting the current day wrestlers. You have your Bianca and Roman and all these different wrestlers. However, I don't know if you guys have caught this, but there was I think this is really like the main commercial that they've been showing. All the wrestlers are, modern. Like I said, Bianca, Roman. However, there is one shot of past wrestlers. And in that shot is a stare down between The Rock and Stone Cold.
Yep, I've seen that one.
So in a whole 30-second spot where it's just modern wrestlers, and spliced in there is that stare down from WrestleMania 19. That, for me, and all these little hints, I'm still keeping it around a 65. I still think that we're going to see Austin in a match. Will it be, a full-on match? I don't think so. I don't even think we'll see anywhere from 10 minutes, even 5 minutes. I think it'll be a quick match. I think it'll be very similar to WrestleMania 34 with The Undertaker and John Cena. You'll get your big moves in, but it's really just to put over the fact that Austin is going to be in a match.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with seeing Austin in a match. And I think that this is really for a generation of fans that didn't get to see Austin. It's like someone like me, putting him up against Kevin Owens. And I talked about it last week, and I compared it to the whole thing with Shawn Michaels. And it's that the story of Stone Cold and the story of Shawn Michaels, they closed the book and they put it on the shelf in the history of wrestling. That is there to stay. Everything else is just footnotes. They don't technically count in the whole story of, Stone Cold is coming out of retirement just to fight Kevin Owens. That's a completely different story. Of course, he ends his run, with The Rock at WrestleMania 19. It's the perfect storybook ending. Of course, Shawn Michaels ends his run, up against The Undertaker. Perfect storybook ending. Everything else is just, they don't count for me. And I don't think it counts for a lot of wrestling fans. So I'm of the belief that we're going to see Austin in a match. Of course, I think it'll be a quick one, 5 minutes at most, 65%. And I think that's pretty high, especially with the other numbers that I've heard just now.
Yes.
But hey, I mean, you never know. I would love to see it, but who knows?
And that's the bottom line.
Because Stone Cold.
You said that the Shawn Michaels thing is you're able to separate the Saudi match at Crown Jewel with the embarrassing Brothers of Destruction versus the X-Men. To me, I can't. Like that to me is my lasting image of the last time we saw Shawn in the ring, all bald and like decrepit. What's the guy's name from Shameless? Frank Gallagher. Like that's what he looked like in the ring. And to me, it was depressing. And all he did was for a payday. And my fear, and I don't think Stone Cold will do this because he is such a workaholic and his body looks like it's in the same shape it was 20 years ago. My fear is that selling out for a paycheck, it's scary because I think that we live in a time where, in my mind, Stone Cold had the perfect storybook ending. And it wasn't just the ending. I remember him in such a way. He was a badass. He was the guy. And to me, one of the biggest stars in wrestling history, if not the biggest star. And I don't want in any way that image to be distorted in a bad way for him to look any less than 100% of the guy I remember. So that's just selfishly me who watched him growing up as a 10-year-old.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I think someone like you or Marco or anyone that's watched Stone Cold and gotten the chance to see him would probably say that just due to the fact that, you know, you've had so many great memories with him. But I mean,
just this perspective thing though, thinking about it out loud. So WrestleMania 17 at this point was about 20 years ago, we would say, right? Because it's 21 years ago at this point.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you take how they're advertising the show and we're like talking about maybe Vince coming out and wrestling past his prime, if he ever had a prime, and Stone Cold wrestling after 20 years of not being in the ring, go all the way back to WrestleMania 7 and look at that card and say, oh, we're hoping that Macho Man comes out and wrestles at WrestleMania 17. It seems ludicrous. It just speaks to where the product is right now, where it's like we're leaning so heavily on the past. And that might just be our generation. We're very nostalgia driven and they're not working towards, we don't like the current day stuff and we want to feed the nostalgia. That is our generation. 30 to 35-year-olds love things that from their childhood. So maybe that's what's driving this. But to me, it's like, it would seem crazy at WrestleMania 17 if we have anything near Macho Man versus Ultimate Warrior at that card in Houston. It doesn't seem likely. So I'm not sure. That perspective to me is just a little bit wonky in my brain, just trying to like reason with the time period. Like the Lesnar Royal Rumble win, the years in between 2003 and 2022. It's insane to think about who won the Rumble 20 years prior in 1993. It's like Yokozuna, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair the year before. It's crazy to think one of those guys could do it that many years later. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's such a good
Time
point.
is a
I
weird
never even
concept
thought
for
of
sure.
that.
Time is a weird concept, especially in wrestling, because WrestleMania, like the beginning WrestleMania 1 through 10 seemed like it was a lifetime ago. And then any WrestleMania from WrestleMania 20 on just seems like it was yesterday. So that might just be a perspective thing for like guys my age, but it's crazy to think that they're relying so heavily on the past now.
No, absolutely. 100%. I want to get to some of these comments because, again, we have so much to discuss here. J-Bone actually says that he thinks that Kevin Owens and Rollins are going to defend the tag team titles and win, and then Stone Cold comes out to stun him at the end. Yeah, it definitely could happen.
For that.
J-Bone is at a 30%. I'm not sure if that is up or down from last week, but it's a pretty low number as well. He could still be in Pat McAfee's corner versus Austin Theory with Vince in his corner. So you get Austin Theory with Vince versus McAfee with Steve Austin. I mean, that could happen as well. We have Code Equestria in the chat. Thank you for joining us. 97% that we will see Stone Cold in a match. That's a pretty big
That's
number.
high.
Yeah, that makes my 65 look nothing. He also says all the others will help him win. I mean, you never know. I think that's really what it comes down to, is you're not going to know unless we get to Dallas, you know, or if they promote it ahead of time, which looks like they're not going to. You never know. It's so hard to predict wrestling nowadays that it's just whatever happens, happens. Chad says a Saudi Shawn type of match for Stone Cold definitely chips away at the mythical figure known as the Texas Rattlesnake for me. And yeah, like I said, I think it just has to do with the fact that people have watched him and grown up with him. You know, for, you know, someone like me, and I keep bringing it up, but, you know, I am young Anthony at the end of the day. You know, for someone like me, you know, I've never gotten the chance to see Stone Cold Steve Austin, let alone live in person, but just on TV wrestling in a match. I've gotten to see Shawn Michaels wrestle, but I started watching wrestling in 2009 at November. That's when he was doing his DX run with Triple H. And he would retire like 3 months later. So to see these guys back in the ring, I'm not going to lie, I was so excited to see DX versus the Brothers of Destruction simply because we were going to get that Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker rematch. And I was like, shit, this is what brought me into wrestling. You know, I'm so excited to see this. So I think it's also something to be said that if Stone Cold's been practicing for this match, you know, Jay Bones mentioned that he's seen the ring, you know, and all the little clips that Steve Austin has done. If he's practiced, you know, you're not bound to get a Saudi Arabia type match. You know, we could see something great. You also have to consider the opponent. You know, we're talking about Shawn Michaels going up against 2 50-year-olds. This is Stone Cold Steve Austin going up against one of the most reliable wrestlers in the WWE. Obviously, this is going to be a much better match than what we saw in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I think there's a lot of moving parts here. I'm very excited to see it, obviously. I think everyone has a sense of excitement for it, but I understand that doubt of, you know, just chipping away at that rattlesnake, you know, whole Stone Cold essence to him.
Yeah.
I just worry. I mean, it's a selfish thing that I understand it's going to draw. But like I think about Taker and how everything at the end sort of took away from what he was. And it took a bit for me to look at his career as a whole. The Boneyard match did a good job of kind of being the final resting place, you know, pun intended, for his career. But, you know, looking back at that Roman match, some of those matches in Saudi with Goldberg, it was rough for a bit. Like, I think if you would have hung it up right after, you know, 25, 26, the Shawn Michaels matches, those were, I mean, excellent. The match with Edge at 24, he had such a high quality. It was the best matches of his career. And when there's something to be said about going out on top. All of the best wrestlers, I mean, I can't think of one aside from Stone Cold that's gone out, finished on top, looking their best. Everyone has wrestling's one of the things you hang on a little bit too long, or maybe just forces you out through injury. Like think about Bret Hart.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know. I think it's scary to me, but it's a selfish thing. I get it. So I'm not against it. I just, for me personally, he's a hero of mine. I don't want him to look any less than superhuman.
True. We just got a comment from Chad, but you're not going to see Stone Cold, Anthony. You're going to see Stone Cold 20 plus years removed from his prime. I didn't get to see the Freebirds feud with the Von Erichs in their heyday as much as I'm sure he's going to continue his.
So to speak to that, this weekend locally, the Outlaw Wrestling had an indie show at a brewery near my house, and it had the Rock and Roll Express wrestled the Ascension, and it was awesome. But looking at someone like the Rock and Roll Express, like, dude, it must have been so sick to see them wrestle in 1982, you know, in NWA and wrestle, and they were the best tag team of all time.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about like the longevity and sticking to it, but it's also sort of embarrassing to see them in the shape they are now. And I don't mean that in a way that's supposed to be disrespectful, but like I would want to remember them. Like if I brought my kids to see them, like, oh, you had to see them when. To me, that's like, it takes away from the mystique of it.
Yeah, I mean, with Stone Cold, obviously, I think it's going to be a one-off, and I don't think it's going to be him like coming back every week or like you know every few months at a premium live event, not a pay-per-view anyway. But I don't think you're going to see. I think it's just going to be a one-off, if anything. And for me, I mean, I love Stone Cold. I grew up obviously watching the whole era. That's probably my favorite era. But I don't think you could take away like just this one instance with WrestleMania for me anyway. It's not going to erase his whole Stone Cold rattlesnake mythology. It's not going to. That's for me anyway. It's not going to do anything.
No, man, he's done a lot on TV. Like he did the GM stuff. He was the sheriff of Raw for a bit. He shows up and does stuff. So it's not like
he's drunk like half the time.
Exactly. And he does have a new beer to promote too. So you gotta remember, he has a new beer to promote. So he wants to be in the ring in some capacity. And it's going to be interesting to see, like, are they going to allow him to flip off the camera and have do the beers on TV? Like, I feel like they've moved past that type of product. And if they say no to Stone Cold, it's like the least Stone Cold thing ever to not be able to flip people off in the ring.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be able to. He always throws in a little bit every now and then when he comes back.
You have to get vintage Stone Cold, definitely.
When
it comes to that stuff.
I just want to go back to this comment. I know we've been taking a lot of time on Austin, but like it's a very hot topic right now. I want to go back to the comment about that Chad said, read it in full. You're not going to see Stone Cold. You're going to see Stone Cold out of his prime. I didn't get to see the Freebirds feud with the Von Erichs in their heyday as much as that would rock, but trotting out Michael P.S. Hayes today would be fucking awful. Let the legends live in infamy in our memories. So what I will say about this, and I think Acefield, you hit it right on the head. I live in Brooklyn, New York, and we have my elementary school puts on a wrestling show with a local company called ECPW every year, once a year. On that show, the marquee names are old hags, Val Venus, when they were alive, Jimmy Snuka, Viscera, Tito Santana. And those would be guys that would get in the ring and wrestle Greg the Hammer Valentine. And people would come to these shows for those names alone. Greg the Hammer Valentine looks awful, right? He does not look like Greg the Hammer Valentine.
No.
But people show up because they want to see that name in the ring. Because either, you're an adult now and you have kids that you want them to show, like, this is what I used to watch, although it's not, exactly what I used to watch.
I mean,
but I think it's just that mentality that, WWE is a very family-oriented company, I guess, if you want to call it that. It's something that has transcended many generations. Mm-hmm. So it could be the case of wanting younger generations to see that type of wrestling, even though it's not the greatest. It could also be a pride thing. I remember they were talking on the debate on Monday that Austin has kind of earned this match. He retired early. Maybe this is his way of kind of getting in the ring one more time, being able to wrestle. There's a lot of different pieces to this, and I'm just excited to see Austin in a ring.
We missed the best years of potentially his career. He was 38 when he was forced to retire.
Yeah,
and look at Taker and Shawn Michaels. They reinvented themselves as time went on.
Yeah.
So I think he had to be looking at, and that's why I'm saying going back to even like 04, 05 when Shawn Michaels was back in the ring after being retired in 98 and then coming back in 2002.
Yeah.
4 years is different than 20 years. So, Shawn Michaels was beaten up and he got his back right and everything. He had arguably the best run of his career. You could say that the run from 2002 to being, retired by Taker at 25, it was WrestleMania 25, I believe, or 26.
26.
That was a long stretch of run that we saw from him that we didn't think we were going to get. And for me, that's like that was my guy I missed. I started watching wrestling right at the tail end. He lost his smile. So he wasn't the same Shawn Michaels that was, in the mix being world champion and stealing the show. So I understand where you're coming from, but 4 years is much different than 20 years. I'm afraid that gap is too large and Stone Cold sort of missed the boat. He deserves it. And if he wants to come out there, they're not going to say no, but
Great.
You have to have a level of trust in the man that he's going to go out there and prep for it. Like he's going to go be out there and give people the same show. He's always said that on his podcast. He wants to uphold the Stone Cold character like it is sacred. And I think if he approaches it with that mentality, we could be in for a really good show. But again, I'm going to go back to it. Selfishly, I'm nervous for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Chad answers my question. Yeah, that's any indie show in America. Nostalgia certainly sells, and there's a place for it. But this isn't the local bingo hall, and this isn't Val Venus. This is arguably the GOAT. Yes, very true. This is not Val Venus. But just like what Steve said, everything with the Rock and Roll Express, people love seeing this. I don't get it. I think it's cool. But that wasn't my era. It's exposing me to a new era. I get the appeal of seeing Austin. And if the WWE is able to present him on a big stage for a wide audience, that'll hopefully bring in a lot more fans into Mania. If they decide to announce it, then I think it's a win. Do I want to see Austin in the ring? Sure. Do a lot of people not want to see him? Sure. But I understand why. I think there's, I said, a lot of different parts to this. But
the gauge for me is he cannot be a t-shirt wrestler. He has to go out there and be, if you're in shape to wrestle, you got to wrestle in the tights. I think that should be the barometer for all wrestlers. Wear the exact attire that you used to wear. You can't go out there and wear a shirt and shorts and then wrestle a match. I just think that has to be the barometer. If you like, that is who the Stone Cold I remember. He didn't wrestle in anything but the black trunks. I'm being very specific and rigid with that, but that has to be what it is. If you're not going to do that, then I don't want it.
True.
Yeah.
Good point.
I mean, if Goldberg can do it, I think Stone Cold can do it if he needs to.
True.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Pull up that peacock, young Anthony. Experience the rattlesnake in the best way.
No, I mean,
I'll
you
be
know what?
experiencing him in Dallas in 4 weeks.
Dude, it's
when he's
crazy
going up in a 20-minute match against Kevin Owens. God,
Dude,
yeah,
his
but
run
20
is so
minutes,
short.
geez.
Stone Cold's run is so short, really. 1997 to 2003. That is such a short window of time that people got to enjoy Stone Cold as a main event performer. And like you think about the longevity of someone like Cena, who's in the main event scene for how long? Even Randy Orton right now. I mean,
Yeah.
God damn, the guy's on Raw for how long in SmackDown? But
Yeah.
Stone Cold had a 1997 to 2003 run. It seemed like a long time, but it wasn't that long at all.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
he did so much in that short amount of time. He
absolutely.
pretty much brought wrestling back.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally dead until he came aboard and did that. But I'm gonna say this. I'm happy for young Anthony if this does happen that he
I'll be
actually gets
thinking
to
of you,
see
man.
Stone Cold live. I mean, I never got to see. I mean, I didn't see him live at all. I don't think. Not that I remember anyway. I have bad memory, but I don't think I've ever seen him perform live. I seen him at WrestleMania 30 at the beginning when it was him and The Rock and Hulk Hogan, stuff like that. But I don't think as far as I remember, I've never seen him do it. So I'm actually. I mean, if he does get in a match, I mean, kudos to you for actually seeing a living legend. Probably the only living legend in wrestling right now. I mean,
Yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, well, except for Chris Jericho. I mean, he's another one of my favorites. But yeah. I mean, I'm happy for you if he actually does do that. That's actually pretty awesome.
Looking forward to it. All right. We have talked far too much about Stone Cold. This was a great conversation, by the way. Wish we could talk forever about Stone Cold, but now is time when everyone turns off the show.
Who won the week?
We got to get through it. Who won the week? Raw versus SmackDown. All right. I'll start it off. I want to talk about Raw a little bit. I thought it was a pretty okay show. It wasn't, great or anything, but I tuned in a lot for the last half hour because you had a lot of heavy hitters there. Let's start it off with Edge versus AJ Styles. That's the match that we're getting at WrestleMania. The group chat for the tavern was very vocal last night. A very rare Monday conversation in the tavern chat. And that's because a lot of us were expecting Cody Rhodes to pull up because it was the end of the show.
Yeah.
Had to throw in a twist. I
not
wasn't
happening.
expecting him, but of course, but the tavern mates just have to get my expectations up. But we are getting Edge and AJ Styles. Marco, I'll start with you. Are you excited for Edge versus AJ?
Look at this. See this? Right here?
And I just noticed the hat. Actually, there it is.
Of course, I'm excited for.
Look
for
at
Edge.
you, full edged out. Were you expecting Cody whatsoever? Are you disappointed?
I wasn't expecting. I mean, if you were expecting Cody on just a mundane Monday Night Raw to show up, that's definitely. And then where were they in Ohio? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
If it was like L.A.
Ohio,
or
nowhere
it was like New York, or it was at Madison Square Garden, something big, like a big arena, I could probably get start marking out and thinking maybe he will show up. But yeah, if it was in Connecticut too, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't expecting Cody Rhodes to take up Edge on that offer. But I mean, I think everyone predicted what was going to happen. It was AJ Styles, and that was pretty much the match everyone sees. And I'm actually happy that they're going to pick a heel and a baby face. So obviously AJ's going to be the baby face in this. We're going to get heel Edge, which is even greater because I mean, if you missed this to young Anthony, Edge when he was a heel was a son of a bitch, we'll say. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
To watch this.
He's probably like the epitome of he even stole somebody's woman and ruined their life in real life. I mean, that's
and then they made it a storyline.
And then they made a storyline about it.
We need that on Raw. That's what we need nowadays.
But yeah, so no, I'm excited. You got to see that he quickly turned from the favorable Edge to like when he sucker punched AJ and started beating the crap out of him, and then you see his facial expression turn to that heel Edge. So I'm actually pumped about this. I can't. There's going to be probably like a show stealer match, I think, for Mania.
Yeah, I've been saying since the beginning of the year when we were seeing Edge waste his time with Miz that we need to be checking boxes for Edge at this point. We don't know how many bumps are left on the bump card for him. We need to make sure that we are fulfilling dream matches, and this is a dream match, in my opinion. I think this match is going to be great. I think this match is going to be a classic match. It's probably going to steal the show of both nights, if we're being honest, as far as work rate goes. And I'm going to imagine they're going to have their working boots on, and they're going to put on a 15 to 20-minute show that is absolutely epic. As far as the heel turn goes, I feel like a little bit was taken away from it because they had Damian Priest do the same thing a segment before. I think the format of the show should have been Damian Priest probably should have turned heel maybe in the beginning of the show because it was the exact same segment, but just I don't know, it just made no sense to me. 2 heel turns in a row was just like a little bit, I don't know, misguided. I think that you should have had the focus on Edge being a dastardly heel, and the attack was amazing. The concertos looked fantastic.
Oh yeah,
and I know I said in the beginning of the show, Kevin Dunn stopped with the camera cuts because it took away from it to me. Like, just let the action speak for itself. Trust the 2 professionals in the ring that they're going to make. I feel like there's an insecurity that they don't think they're going to be making contact with punches, kicks, chairs, whatever.
Yeah,
trust the guys to do it. Like, I don't want guys to get hurt and they have to like really hit someone in the face to make it look good. But the camera cuts make it look faker, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was gonna say something I picked up on too with AJ Styles. He's kind of like the ruthless aggression killer, if you want to say, because he faced Brock Lesnar at one point. He faced John Cena multiple times. He's faced Randy Orton as well, and now he's facing Edge. I mean, obviously he can't go like Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle and all these guys, but like the main faces of the ruthless aggression era, he's actually faced in dream matches.
True.
Pretty much all of them too. So, I mean, like I said, this is just to top it off. If this is Edge's last run, I mean, there's no one else he could really go against. He already did the Roman Reigns thing. He came back against Randy Orton. I mean, to tie it up, AJ Styles is pretty much the person you want to go with. So,
yeah, you can really see his acting skills coming out ever since retiring. He did all this acting stuff.
Yeah,
you really see how that's affected his work going forward. I think that's really a testament to all of this. Ace, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I felt a little bit concerned about where AJ was on the card if you go back a few weeks, and maybe that was in line with he wasn't re-signed yet, so they weren't sure where he was going, so they were starting to bury him a little bit on the card. Yeah, and they thought maybe he'd leave and go to Japan or AEW or whatever. But now that he's secured for, I think they said 5 years. I think it was 5 years. He's going to be there long term. They're putting him back in a very spotlighted position on the card. And this match doesn't need a title involved. This is going to be one of the main event matches of the night. Doesn't matter where it's on the card. It's must-see TV. Sit down and watch it nonstop. It's going to be an instant classic. And both these guys are motivated to deliver on the back end of their career. And you want to talk about guys that have something to prove when they have nothing left to prove. These guys want to go out there and steal the show, and they're the last guys of a bygone era that are motivated by the rest of the card to make sure they steal the show. And I think that's what's missing on a weekly basis, and we're going to see it at WrestleMania between the two of them. I can't wait for it.
Totally.
But think about I have pulled up here, and I posted on my Instagram all the matches that AJ's been in WrestleMania, and believe it or not, there's been 7 of them. Time flies when you're having fun. So I look at the WrestleMania wrestled Shane, and what a waste that was. Because how many WrestleManias are we really going to get AJ in? And he wrestled Shane. But I mean, we look at some of the matches. He wrestled Jericho, Shane, Nakamura. He was in the tag title match last year, which is kind of a waste. He did the Boneyard match with Taker, which is a huge honor because it's the last match of Taker's career. And then, of course, the match with Orton a few years back. So his WrestleMania resume, win-loss, doesn't matter. He really goes out there and delivers. Aside from last year, the tag match is just whatever. But he goes out there in these singles matches. Even the Shane match delivered. So I'm looking forward to it. He's going to have a guy in the ring similar to a Jericho that it's going to deliver on probably historic basis. Hopefully I'm not overhyping it.
Yeah. Okay. We haven't had too many of these, so I'll throw in another one of these.
Hot takes here. Get your hot takes here.
After this WrestleMania, Edge will have a very good case to take the spot. He probably won't take it because, just comparing, but he has a very good case to possibly take the Mr. WrestleMania spot. It's a very tough case to make. However, I looked back at all of the matches that he has had at WrestleMania. You look back at it, TLC 2, or both of the TLC matches, rather, Mick Foley, who else?
Money
Even
in the
last
Bank.
year with Roman.
First Money in the Bank winner.
Money in the Bank.
First Money in the Bank winner. And after this match with AJ, he could have a good case to be, if not the Mr. WrestleMania, at least in the same tier as a Shawn Michaels.
See, to me, I mean, I'm not sure if this is a hot take at all, if you want to throw this.
Hot takes here. Get your hot takes here.
To me, Undertaker was always Mr. WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Shawn
that goes
Michaels.
without saying. Yeah.
I don't know why. I know obviously Shawn Michaels is a showman. He's a showstopper. He's the icon. He's a main event. He's a heartbreak kid. But as far as consistency in WrestleMania caliber matches, not so much at the beginning of the Undertaker's WrestleMania tenure. We'll go obviously later on when they started really picking up on the streak. I mean, from then on, if you want to say like, I don't know, his 10th win in the streak, even from then on, he's always put on like A+ matches. I mean, in every single WrestleMania, to me anyway. So I
think your top 3 is probably like number 1 Taker, number 2
you could say
Shawn.
Cena. You could say Cena
could
too,
say
maybe this
Cena.
WrestleMania. He has a good argument as well, but I mean, to me, Taker was always Mr. WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think they were calling Shawn Michaels Mr. WrestleMania way before he even had deserved the moniker. Like they gave him from WrestleMania 12. I think that was the reason why.
Yeah, I don't even know what I mean. Just because of one performance, he's Mr. WrestleMania. I mean, to me, if you hold the title for Mr. WrestleMania, you got to be on a consistent basis in WrestleMania
He's had
matches.
like easily some of the greatest matches of all time.
Yeah.
Both Taker matches, Angle,
Taker
Razor
was in both
with
of those
Brett.
matches.
Yeah,
Taker was 2 of his matches. So I mean,
I mean, like I said, I think it'll be very hard for him to take that top spot, especially from someone like Undertaker. But after this WrestleMania, looking back at the just resume of matches that he's had, I think I would put him at least number 3 on that ranking, unless I can think of anyone else, which I really can't off the top of my head. But I mean, Edge makes a very good case for it. I would say minimum top 5 in that WrestleMania ranking. But I don't know. I don't really believe it too much, but I just wanted to throw in a hot take because we didn't have.
Believe it or not, Edge was undefeated going into the Taker match, so they didn't hype it as streak for a streak. But at WrestleMania 24, there was a chance where he could have been like switching the streaks because he was undefeated. He missed WrestleMania 19, but 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, and then lost to Taker at 24. So he has a really good record. He probably has a better record than Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania if I go there and dissect the numbers because and you make a good case for it. I think the nickname is synonymous with Shawn Michaels, so you're never going to hear anyone call it that. But as far as, I guess, categorizing the best WrestleMania competitors and performers, I think they're 2 different things. I think wins and losses and then also stealing the show. I mean, you can either steal the show and still in a losing effort. Bringing up Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13 again. So, I think Mr. WrestleMania is going to stay with Shawn because it's just
absolutely.
He's the original, but you make a case. I can back it a little bit.
I didn't even think of. I completely forgot to mention that Edge versus Undertaker match. His best match. But
look who was. But who was in that match though? The Undertaker.
Very true. I've said it from the start. That whole stretch from, I would say, from Orton, but like the next year was the Mark Henry match. So not really. But
dude, even 17 when he wrestled Triple H and then was Flair at 18. You had that one blip in that tag match at 19, but then 20 was Kane. 21 was Orton, 22 was Henry, 23 was Batista. He goes on a stretch there where he puts on absolute killer matches and then peaks at obviously the Shawn Michaels matches, but those Triple H matches are really good as well.
Yeah.
So,
end of an era match. I was there in attendance too. I actually went to see that.
Unbelievable.
In Miami. So good. I mean, like I said, Undertaker's up there. If you want to go 1A, 1B, that's fine. But
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, but if Taker would have ended his career there, that's like full circle here.
yeah,
If he would have ended it on that little run there, and we didn't have to see that Roman match where it was just like, I remember watching with friends who haven't watched wrestling. They're friends that just watch wrestling every once in a while. They're like, eek, what's going on? Taker?
Yeah.
He's got the dye job. He can't move. I'm just like, no, but he's awesome, man. Like, he's awesome.
he is.
Trust me, man. He's gonna break out of this.
He can make the lights turn off. And
He should have retired after Lesnar ended the streak, I think. If you want, but that's a debate question all over.
Yeah,
again,
that's a whole debate waiting to
Yeah.
happen on a Monday. But we got some other comments here. Edge versus AJ will be unreal, says Chad. Two of my absolute all-time favorites. Absolutely. We have of course, Courtney just giving the young Anthony support.
The praise.
Every episode. We need
Every
at least one
episode.
comment. And Chad says the next Mr. WrestleMania is Veer. If he comes.
He might
will
show up
be.
at the next WrestleMania, so next year.
Man,
So
maybe
he will
that's
be the
Stone
next-
Cold's opponent.
Yeah, he'll be
Veer
next.
versus Stone Cold. Who knows?
Oh, jeez.
Who knows? We mentioned Damian Priest a little earlier. I want to get into I say it every week. That is my favorite intro that we have here. Match of the week. I'm going to give it to Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. Very fun match with a huge surprise at the end. Did not expect Finn Balor to win the title. And even a pretty good heel turn afterwards for Damian Priest. Overall, solid match. I'm going to give it my match of the week.
Huh. Well, I'll let Steve go since he's the guest of the show.
Yeah, just to mention about that match, I wrote in my notes because I was taking very, I wanted to watch Raw. I don't watch Raw very frequently and as closely as I did the last night. I wanted to make sure I was prepared for the RAWDOWN.
Came prepared.
Yeah, I did. There were 4 commercial breaks in between the beginning of the Finn Balor match for his entrance and Damian Priest. It was unacceptable.
Yeah.
Like, it's just unacceptable. So match was amazing. I'm not saying anything bad about the match, but just how they got there, they just wasted so much time with commercials and recap packages and WrestleMania advertising. It just was a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
Like, his music was still playing 15 minutes later in the ring. It was like, what is going on? As far
How
as
many
my match
commercial
of the
breaks
week,
did you say? 4?
4, yeah. 4
The numbers don't lie.
4 commercial breaks. The numbers don't
4
lie.
plus 2 plus 6 plus 5, that equals it. Yeah. So my match of the week was the tag match to open the night. I thought the tag match with Alpha Academy, who continues to impress me, and Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. I didn't like the fact that they had the match, and I'll get into that in a second, but the match was fun. It delivered. It had a really good flow to it. And it was what they would consider pay-per-view quality matches in WWE on a free TV show, and that's all you can ask for.
Sure.
But my complaint with this match, I have to just say this because I feel like we're not going to talk about this match again unless this is Marco's match of the week. But why have the champions face the number one contenders the week before that they're wrestling for the championship and then have them lose? It's the most ass backwards way that WWE books title reigns. Having champions lose, and if your name's not Roman Reigns, you can't look strong as champion. I think it was a great match, but too often their champions who aren't named Roman, like I mentioned, are booked poorly and made to look like geeks. I'm supposed to take the match seriously next week. Like right now, they're number one contenders. That's their top ranked contenders. They somehow work their way into a match because they have a disagreement in the opening segment and they beat the champions, but they're not champions. It makes no sense. Just wait till next week. Like, or just have, if you want the Alpha Academy to lose or you want Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins to get a big win, have them wrestle another tag team. Are you just that out of tag teams? You have to do the match. You had to do that match. Anyway, my match of the week.
Crazy booking.
Yeah, they always do that. They always do that. They have like the champions get pinned the next week. It's either the champions will win, or someone else will win. So I mean, I think it's going to be RK Bro probably winning, and then they'll face Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens at WrestleMania for the tag titles. I'm assuming that could possibly happen, or they could just beat them 2 weeks in a row and become champions next week, and then have that same match at WrestleMania. But they're the champions instead of RK Bro. But
Or
yeah,
Alpha
yeah.
Academy wins and they just get thrown in the battle royal like every tag team.
True,
every year
that's a
happens at
possibility as
Mania.
well. Yeah, but I think they're gonna want to have like Seth Rollins and
Yeah.
They're starting to get over a little bit Alpha Academy. The thank you, like
They
all
are.
that stuff
They
is
definitely
pretty.
are.
Yeah.
And I'll say Chad Gable is awesome in the ring, and Otis is a great character. And I
Yeah.
appreciate any sort of diversity as far as body types in the ring. So Otis can move around. He's a big guy. I appreciate it on the card. It's not just the same typecast body type on the show. I like to see wrestling that has all different types of characters of all shapes and sizes because that makes it interesting to me. And that's real life. Like Otis is a real type of person that exists in the world. And like he is athletic. Just because he's a bigger guy doesn't mean he's not athletic.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
to showcase him in a good way instead of making him like that joke character he was when he, believe it or not, won Money in the Bank all 2 years ago. So
yeah. But so I'm gonna go with it's not a Raw match. I'm gonna go with a SmackDown match for my match of the
Look at
week.
you.
And I actually think SmackDown was a little bit better as far as like overall like just in like the like the production and stuff like that as far as like just like obviously it's a shorter show, it's only 2 hours, but I'm gonna go with it's not the New Day anymore, Big E and Kofi Kingston versus Los Lotharios. It was an awesome
Underrated
tag team match. If you didn't get to see that, definitely go back and watch it. That was a long match as well. That is a few commercial breaks in between. I don't think it had 4. I think it had a couple, but it just I thought they were going to win anyway. I mean, I didn't think they were going to lose. I mean, you have 2 former WWE champions in a match. So if they had losing to the Los Lotharios, I would have been very, very shocked and appalled. But and I like Los Lotharios as well. I think they're an awesome tag team as well. But just like the overall action, as far as like we always crap on WWE for not having not really caring about tag teams and all that stuff. But this match actually proved when they can pull off a really good tag team match. And the same thing with Monday Night Raw with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. That match was good as well. But when you have like actually 2 tag teams in the ring and they want to really go out there and show like what they can do with a tag team match, they definitely go above and beyond. I think that match was a perfect testament when they do that actually sometimes. So I'm going with that match as my match of the week.
Great pick.
So weird highlight of that match. We had someone pull a Rick Rude in that match. I'm not sure if you saw all over social media that the girl on the kiss cam with Los Lotharios was Kayla Braxton, who at the exact same time on Friday was airing on Rampage tape. So she was on both shows. She pulled a Rick Rude.
Yeah. So the other thing too is a lot of people picked up on this was Big E did the pin that Nikita Lyons did on her first opponent. NXT 2.0. He actually pinned. I forget who it was that he pinned, but he actually did the same split pin and everything, and a lot of people picked up on that. So
and Jay Cargill's been doing week to week as well. So like I guess we got an ass off if they call it. They got a spot.
throw Big E in there. He's competing with the ladies. So I mean, but
cannot wait to bring back the NXT report after that one. But anyways, we are going to end off the show as we always do.
Who won the week?
The final vote: red pill versus blue pill. Acefield, you are the guest. You begin.
I'm going to say blue. I very much enjoyed SmackDown. As much as they are throwing Roman and Brock down your throat, it's the most enjoyable thing on the product. It feels big. They're saying it's the biggest match in WrestleMania history. I can't get behind that, but it feels really big, more so than a lot of matches in recent history have felt big. They're throwing everything they have behind it. The full propaganda WWE machine is in full tilt behind Roman Brock. It feels absolutely insane. And like that segment felt huge. It felt like one of those moments you're going to see, like when, Hogan, when Andre pulled the cross off Hogan, it just felt like very big. And then that promo, I know that people were kind of ripping on the Roman promo saying, because you have on Twitter and social media and all over the place, Instagram as well, you have the AEW stands and you have the WWE lifers going at each other at all times. There's no in between. People can't enjoy both products because it's either you one or the other. So people in WWE were commending how great that promo was from Roman, and AEW fans were like, your threshold for good promos is so low that you thought it was good. Roman, that promo was good. No matter what company he was in, that promo had the energy.
It was awesome.
He took command. this is my show, and
Yep.
it truly is. I mean, he's speaking
That
facts.
cameraman, that's my cameraman.
Those
So
commentators and Mike.
Roman Reigns right now is just next level. He is a guy that we watched the growth from. He came in with the Shield. We even watched from FCW days when he was developing his character. He's come such a long way and overcome so much adversity. Truly with medical history, and then also the adversity of like they gave him a gimmick and they wanted to book him as an underdog. The fans rebelled against it. We're seeing the best era of Roman Reigns right now, and it just gets better and better every week. And I just really appreciate everything he's putting into the character. And as much as people want to rip on WWE and what they do wrong, what they can do is shown in Roman Reigns. They've made him into the guy who feels big enough to beat any guy in any era. And I think now the tribal chief character is going to go down as one of the best characters. You want to talk about a hot take? One of the best characters in WWE history.
Oh, let me bring up that. Hold on, where is there?
Hot takes here. Get your hot takes here.
And
Although it is a hot take, I agree with.
I want him to continue to hold the title for like 2 years. Like,
Same.
Hold the title until you're ready to face Rock in LA. He'll be champion for like 2 years. Make it like comparable to Bruno Sammartino. I want it. Do it.
Yeah, I don't think that's really a hot take. I mean, he is probably like one of the best characters in history. I mean, right now anyway. And I think like one of the reasons he didn't work as an underdog because he does not look like an underdog. Right. Like you see a guy like that, like, and you're saying he's struggling to win a championship. To fans, like fans pick up on that so easy. It's like this guy obviously has the look, the size, and the athletic ability to take any title that he wants at any time. Don't shove us as like this higher authority's keeping him down, and it didn't work because of that. I think too, and obviously you had the Daniel Bryan on the rise as well. They kind of like met in the middle. And that kind of ruined things, but I'm gonna go with SmackDown as well. They sandwiched it perfect. Just to piggyback off of Steve, they had the Roman Brock angle at the end, but at the beginning, their other marquee thing that's going on, Charlotte Ronda. That's what started the show off. That was pretty awesome. Obviously, you get Sonya Deville involved in it as well. And she has a pretty big match coming up. Actually, in a couple of days against Ronda Rousey, and hats off to Ronda Rousey for showing up every single week since Royal Rumble. That's another.
She looks motivated too. The first week on Raw was like, what is going on with her? This is not going to work out well. And she's like happy-go-lucky Ronda.
And it's you know what? I'm gonna blame this person again, Becky Lynch. That whole segment was awkward. If you go back and watch it, that in-ring promo that her and Becky Lynch had was so bad. It was awful. Like when,
you mean to tell me you didn't like her calling her Ronnie, you little weirdo?
Yeah,
you didn't enjoy that.
No, and then you go and then you put her in the ring with Charlotte, and then promo's 10 times better.
Yeah, I mean
it just proved my point that the reason why they have Charlotte in every single aspect of Becky's career is to help her out. I mean, what else? What other evidence do you need? Besides that, I don't know how else I could prove it to you.
So one thing I want to say before we kind of move on and go our separate ways is I do want to apologize for last week. I was wrong. Young Anthony was right with the Bianca Belair take. So if you allow me to clarify, last week I was saying that she's being booked very poorly in the chat. Obviously, I was not on the show.
Okay,
so I was saying she's booked very poorly, that she's been 10-12, her record since 2022. Young Anthony was correct that it's not 10-12 with live events. I mean, with live events included. So she's 7-3 right now, including on Raw. With live shows considered, she's 10-12, which is whatever because she's going to lose title matches on live events. So I was wrong, but I do want to backtrack a little bit and just talk to you guys about, because I know, Young Anthony, you were talking about how Bianca Belair, this has been a long time coming, that they had the vision from SummerSlam to WrestleMania on, that they saw from point A to point B. And I'm going to tell you why you're wrong, because I have, and maybe you're smiling, so maybe you don't actually believe it.
Well, no, me and John said the same thing. I said they didn't have a plan.
All right.
So I did my research.
Let me clarify real quick.
So let's go from here. So this is from the day. All right. So this is the day she lost, obviously. So she's champion. She loses to Becky. wins the number one contender on the SmackDown after SummerSlam. She loses a whole bunch of house shows to Becky. Eventually on SmackDown in September, she loses to Becky for the title, with the title on the line. She goes on to lose to Sasha on SmackDown in October clean. She goes over to Raw, wrestles Charlotte to a DQ in October. Then she beats Charlotte by DQ, so this exchange win 50-50 booking. She loses a triple threat at Crown Jewel, then loses to Becky on Raw for the title in November. Loses a number one contender match in November on Raw. Has a mini feud with Tamina, beats her a few weeks in a row. She wrestles Doudrop, can't pin her. The only time she beats her is by DQ. Then she finally beats her 12-13 and 12-20 on Raw. And then she loses to Doudrop in a triple threat number one contender match to face Becky at the Rumble. Then she goes on to lose the Rumble, and then she wins the Elimination Chamber. So tell me where she was built strong to be this like overachieving, like she's going to get back to where she was character.
Okay, so to backtrack of what I said last week, because I think I took it to an extreme. And I mentioned this in the chat when
as did I, though. I took it to extreme as well. So
yeah. I don't think it was necessarily from SummerSlam to Mania there was a plan for it to happen. I think it was afterwards, around that time when she loses to Becky on Raw, that last match that she had until she started having to build herself back up. That was around the time, you know, you're taking someone who was at the top of her game around that time of SummerSlam, you know, knocking her down a peg immediately, having her take some losses, Becky, the champion, basically telling her, get to the back of the line, which she does. And then, you know, practically runs through, although it's not a huge roster, runs through all of the names that you mentioned. Like, sure, Tamina and Doudrop aren't the biggest names. But then again, that's your roster that you have, you know, and of course, she wasn't going to win the Royal Rumble, but that Elimination Chamber was just the really the cherry on top of everything when it comes down to her really going through the length that she had to go to reach Becky Lynch. I think you needed to do that because you've built up Becky Lynch to be such a prominent force within the women's division. You really couldn't have her on the same level as Becky in story. Of course, Bianca is a much better athlete in every sense of the word than Becky is. But the story has been that Becky Lynch has been champion practically ever since she won it at WrestleMania 35. So you needed to keep building her up that way. And you needed to take any challenge like a Bianca away from her and put her at the back of the line, let her build herself back up so that she proves herself to go up against someone like Becky Lynch, that in story is the top woman in the division right now. So I think that they did it correctly. Like you said, I knew that, you know, the whole house show thing was going to bring it up because I've seen they've done multiple fatal four ways and stuff. And, you know, she's lost every time. You know, you mentioned 7-3 on TV, and I would say that's a pretty good record. Of course, it's not as dominant as I was kind of expecting it to be. I was thinking it would be a little bit better. But from how she's been presented on TV, I think is another way to look at it. You know, she's definitely been the top force within the last few months. Definitely a lot of focus on her. Even her matches with Doudrop, you know, those have always been the top things that get the crowd going. Every time she lifts up Doudrop, the crowd goes crazy. So I think the way that she's been booked ever since her loss at SummerSlam is definitely in the realm of WWE seeing that they were eventually going to get back to Bianca. It's just you needed to build her up for someone like Becky Lynch in the proper way.
It doesn't get much more back of the line than Tamina. Let's
be honest. That's
the furthest back of the line you can get. But I thought it was a good conversation. I mean, that was another debate question like you can even have. It was, we can have that debate and have that the whole podcast be about how Bianca's booked. Because my opinion, I was just comparing to how Jade Cargill's booked on AEW, and I know Bianca is a much better worker than Jade is as far as work rate goes, but Jade is being booked like a monster, and they're making her into this megastar, and she's so protected. She hasn't lost, I mean, I don't think ever on AEW television, if not maybe once in her whole history of being, and she's undefeated as far as the record goes, but I'm not even sure if like maybe back in the day she lost on Dark or something, but she is unstoppable, and I think Bianca should have that momentum behind her, and I think that's how you build up. Even a green wrestler is getting momentum behind her. So imagine how much momentum Bianca would have if you gave her the same support. every week and just made her look super strong. And it's not in spite of Britt Baker. You can have two very strong characters on the show, and that might be because it's a mid-card women's title, and that might just change the whole dynamic. But at the same time, you have Jade and Britt rising up the card. There's no reason that Bianca had to lose in the way she did at SummerSlam. That's my only. She could have lost, no problem. Yeah. Becky could get the best of her. I just didn't like how she was embarrassed and really never got, I guess her comeuppance on Becky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe she gets it at SummerSlam where like now we're gonna look at it and be like, all right, cool. There's a nice bow tied to it, but it wouldn't shock me if she just loses.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely in the realm of possibility. I guess it's also, you consider it, like you mentioned Jade and you mentioned Britt Baker, how they're two of the strongest women on the division. But then you also have to look at it like, if they're being booked so strong, do you think a match between Britt Baker and Jade Cargill would really work with the way that they've been booked right now? And honestly, I don't know if it would, because you have two very strong people. Someone has to lose. Whereas I think they made it in a smart way with Bianca, that they're putting her as the underdog. It's kind of like everything that's happening with Edge and AJ Styles right now. Sure, seeing those two guys go up against each other works, but it works even better now that Edge is a heel, because now there's a story to be told, except for just, two great athletes going at it. That doesn't sell a story, Yeah. So I think Bianca being that underdog is kind of what they were looking for. Although, I'm sure Marco can agree with me that going up against Becky Lynch, you're never the underdog. But, I think there's a little bit more of a story to be told.
It's not losing. It's the fact of how she lost. And I'll say that over and over again. Like, she could have lost. Just give her a 10-minute match where she puts up a fight and Becky gets the better of her, and that's fine with me. I just thought she was embarrassed, and it just made her look like everything she accomplished the year before was erased in 14 seconds. That was the way I looked at it. And now maybe we get a new moment, but like, it took such a special moment. Like, and I keep going back to Stone Cold because I feel like he's the theme of the night. WrestleMania 14, if you had him win at WrestleMania, and you have him lose in like 14 seconds to somebody else, where would Stone Cold be? Where would the momentum be? You know, so Bianca had so much momentum going through. Like, there's no reason she had to lose. Stone Cold lost his title to Kane that summer. He won it back the next night, but he still lost. Mm-hmm. But Stone Cold somehow gained more momentum in the losing effort. So it's just about how it's booked and the logic that's applied to it.
Absolutely. Now, you make some great points there. You really opened my eyes to that a little bit, because I thought that she was booked a little bit stronger than I was intending or recollecting her to be. But I think this is definitely a debate topic to be discussed in the future on a Monday. There's a lot to unpack here. I think, there's different ways that they could have gone about it, but I think they're getting in the right direction, which I think is the most important thing, is you're finally getting to Bianca versus Becky. So
for WWE standards, she's booked super strong, because WWE, as we know, 50-50 booking is where they live. Like, give one loss, give one win, give one loss, and no one really truly gets over. Bianca is not 50-50 booked. She wins more than she loses on TV. Mm-hmm. She's 7-3. So if you're above that, I'm sure that it's that in their way is like she's super dominant. But that's just not the mindset anyone should be in. Like, you should have your main event stars. They can lose, but it's about making sure they have enough wins in the bank to make those losses not feel so detrimental.
Yeah. Totally. We just have a few. So I didn't say who won the week for me, but SmackDown, obviously, everything with Brock and Roman. Also, we didn't mention this, but the whole Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn segment. I love that. That was such a good segment.
That was another point.
That was a phenomenal.
That final segment, the contract signing. Shout out to Dante Drago of local wrestling in New York. He is he's a Creative Pro trainer, and I actually interviewed his tag partner Jack Tomlinson. Right now, they're tag champions in Creative Pro. He was one of the security guards that got his ass kicked by Brock Lesnar in the ring. So it must have been a great moment for him.
Cool.
He was in the ring. I think he didn't take the F5. I think he just got the chair tossed at his face, but. That's like check the box. Boom! I was in the ring with Brock Lesnar. Not just Brock Lesnar, but the version that I think Chad wrote. Pretty fucking badass version of Brock Lesnar with the ponytail. So
absolutely. We have a few comments before we wrap up tonight's episode. Pro Wrestling Podcast just stopping to say hello. Chad marking out over Nikita Lyons.
She went viral, man. That was all over the place. I saw Gigi for the win was posting memes. Like, everyone was all over the place with the Nikita stuff.
maybe the getting the NXT report as a loss isn't that much of a loss after.
I mean,
no,
yeah. I mean, we were kind of ripping on her before she
keep
appeared,
that
though.
same energy with me.
Yeah.
Keep that same energy.
Oh, those
anyways,
promos are
yeah.
good.
Chad said this version of Brock is pretty badass. Code Equestria says that Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes is incoming. Will we see that match in the future?
I was going to say this. What's going to happen is probably because Roman has a streak of winning a match at a big event and then someone showing up.
True.
And that's probably going to happen. That's where you're probably, I mean, if it is going to happen, you might see Cody Rhodes. You might hear his music hit when Roman gets the 1-2-3 over Brock. That's probably going to happen because when's the last time you've seen Roman win a match and someone hasn't shown up to rain on his parade? It's been like that literally every pay-per-view since he won.
Do you guys feel confident that Reigns is walking out victorious at WrestleMania? Because there's a sliver of doubt in my mind that Lesnar's winning.
No, I don't think he's winning. I think Roman's going to continue to just be the dominant
I hope
champion.
so, but like sometimes they change their mind. I know at WrestleMania 34, Roman was supposed to go over. I know that the fans were not behind the decision with Roman becoming champion, but last second, I remember that morning, like Vince changed his mind. Like that's what you read about in the reports.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I mean, I just don't see Brock like him doing anything after Mania.
No, I agree.
Sticking around at all.
I'm just afraid though, man, because sometimes Vince is like, he's so big, like he just like wants him on the show, so he's just like, let's continue to book him.
There's a lot of beef.
Yeah.
Who knows, man? Maybe we'll get a Roman Reigns win. He'll say, "Acknowledge me," and then we'll hear.
We'll hear adrenaline.
Dude, that would be that. And on the debate show, we talked about it being a work or a shoot, and that would be a really big deal because people on the camp of it being a work, work would be like just open their mind up and be like, "Holy crap, we have Cody Rhodes potentially going to bring that title over to AEW," and you could attract those fans like coming over. I still believe that it's an absolute, he's actually leaving. Like, I don't think it has anything to do with Tony Khan, and I won't believe anything until I see it. Like, there's no way that Vince would have the wool pulled over his eyes. He's an absolute, he's been in the business for how goddamn long, and he has all the people behind him. He's going to be fooled by Cody Rhodes and Brandy. What?
True.
Oh, man. One last comment. Oh. Want to be famous? Buy followers, primes, and viewers on yourfollows.com.
Get out of here, Silver Fox. Get out of here, Silver Fox. No one wants you here.
I'm going right to it.
Silver Fox 6115. You got a nice plug out of us.
Yeah, I'm going right to that website right now.
Always got to plug the.
I'll have my credit card ready for you.
Yeah, me too. I got my wallet right handy. You need some follows, shit, ladies and gentlemen. Where is the? I gotta end the show the right way, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey yo!
It's time to end the show. Thank you for joining us. This was a long but amazing episode of the RAWDOWN. ACEFIELD Retro. Thank you so much for stepping up as J-Bone takes his sabbatical, yelling at President Sneed Tunney. Thank you for stepping in. Plug yourself. Take all the time you need. Where can we find you?
So first, before I plug myself, Sneed Tunney has to take in consideration that title is vacant. I would like a surprise entry into the predictions contest. Ooh. It's unprecedented. I'm not a part of the roster, but you know what? Open the forbidden door. Let the boundaries be released. Let me in. I want a prediction. I want the belt, but it's up to you, Sneed Tunney. I respect the authority. You guys can find me at ACEFIELD Retro on Instagram. You can also find me ACEFIELD Retro on YouTube. I do a live Dynamite reaction following Dynamite. We also do Sunday watch-alongs for old events, talking about old wrestling. And just follow on Instagram for any other updates. I do some bell-to-bell interviews. I have some coming up. I have Rob Lowe from RCW in San Antonio. You can check out the old show I did with Phil Cardigan from Creator Pro, and also Jack Tomlinson, who I mentioned before, who's also appeared at AEW and WWE as a enhancement talent, but he is killing it right now in Creator Pro. So check that out and check his stuff out as well. So a lot going on in ACEFIELD Retro. I'll be popping on all different types of channels. So just follow on Instagram and make sure you guys are staying up to date.
Hell yeah. Thank you again for showing up tonight. Marco, where can we find the Chick Foley Show?
You can find me running the Twitter machine, as Sheena likes to call it, at Chick Foley Show. You can follow Sheena on Chick Foley on IG. Obviously, you can follow me at the MVP Marco on my Instagram page as well. Go to chickfoleyshow.com, sign up, become a part of our fabulous, one-of-a-kind Facebook group. It's pretty much the greatest collection of people that you can find. Lots of wrestling talk, lots of personal talk, lots of figure talk, lots of figure purchasing as well. So just come join us. It's fun times. But yeah, and also buy all the merch. Pro Wrestling Tees, buy all of the Pod Foundation merch.
You guys got great
Tavern,
merch.
Extra Cooler.
Great merch.
Coming down the aisle. Titantron. Buy it all. And
the new Sneed Tony shirt too is out already. You guys,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we work
fast.
fast, man.
Lightning fast.
Yeah,
got that Sneed Tony shirt already.
Get
What's
that
going
seal of
on,
approval.
Caleb? What's going on?
That President's seal of approval. Definitely get that shirt. It's a pretty badass shirt.
The official president of the RAWDOWN. Such a great shirt. And just a quick plug for me, Classic Match Classroom. You can catch us every Sunday. We are starting WrestleMania month. This Sunday, we are going to be reviewing a match from the Golden Age, Steamboat versus Savage. What else are we going to start with for WrestleMania? We're going to break down the feud, break down the match. You can follow us on Instagram, Classic Match Classroom, on Twitter, CM Classroom. We post episodes every Sunday. You definitely want to check it out for some old school wrestling review from the eyes of an old fan and a new fan. Beautiful show, but all amazing shows here found on the Pod Foundation, and of course, the Turnbuckle Tavern as we end off tonight's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, the music is playing, and that can only mean one thing. We need to plug the Turnbuckle Tavern. You can find us at theturnbuckletavern.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, fucking anywhere you can find us. Make sure you drop a follow. It goes a long way. We drop episodes every, you can see it right here if you're on YouTube. The podcast schedule release. Monday is the debate, Tuesday is Broken VCR and the fucking GCW show. Wednesday is the RAWDOWN, Thursday is the flagship show, Friday is Turnbuckle Sessions, and Saturday is Big Night, plus a plethora of YouTube videos that you can check out live every week. We post virtually every single day of the week, and you got to tune in for every single one of them. Plus, we have some merch over at ProWrestlingTees.com/tavern. You can see all of our amazing logos for the RAWDOWN. Inmates, if you will, Hollywood Tony, Boney Schiavone, MVP Marco, all of us have a shirt. You should buy all of them. Go on over to Teespring. You can find that at theturnbuckletavern.com, where you can get some official RAWDOWN logo merch. Get it on a mug, get it on a shirt, get some stickers, do whatever you need to support the RAWDOWN. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the road to RAWDOWN WrestleMania, 28 days before we find ourselves with an official, when we predict for an official RAWDOWN predictions champion. Will it be me? Will it be Marco? Will it be Jambo? Will it be ACEFIELD Retro? That is a Sneed Tunny decision that we will have to make very, very soon.
I said what? Shot a beer.
Folks.
What?
Folks, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. We will catch you next week. But until then, take care. Spike your hair. Woo, woo, woo. You know it.